how many more years? We've done this for 50 years since trickle-down economics has started. How many more years do we have to hear that it's the poor people's fault while the rich people get richer and 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 richer to a point they could never spend their money? This little dude right here, Elon's son, his grandkids and his great-grandkids will never hurt for money ever. They're all set. They didn't do a goddamn thing. A lot of you have referenced this. We had a press conference yesterday.
Is this actually in the best?
I started it 7 minutes in because that's when, or I guess let's see, when did Elon jump in? Why did that go? Elon jumped in 1 minute into it, I think. Let's see.
At a high level, if you say, what is the goal of Doge and
this is Elon's son here. X is his name. That's his name. His name is X. Elon named his son X, and that's his son, and his son's name is X. So, cool.
A significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, X, you would have to, if you
Trump's not having that shit. He looks away, and then he reaches over to try and silence somebody else's kid. Trump's not having it. First of all, Trump is sitting there like a little bitch while Elon takes over the press conference. Is beautiful. Everybody knows who's running shit, and it's this rich guy right here and not this rich guy right here. You want to rewind it? All right, I'll rewind it a little bit. Let's go.
Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, X, you would have to, if you sorry. So, I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
That's not a joke. Elon's so weird. What the fuck is he talking about? Gravitas can be so difficult. What? What are you talking about? Where was the gravitas? He's so weird, man. He just says things that people laugh because he's rich and famous. And nobody ever understands his jokes, but because he does like the weird movements, they're like, that's funny. That wasn't funny. That was weird. It's weird.
If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have?
Yeah. If bureaucrat in a fucking pea coat with a belt buckle and this dumbass hat, which, by the way, is absolutely a violation of the Hatch Act. If bureaucrats like you are making all the decisions, then what use is democracy? That's a great question.
If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House,
yeah,
then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy.
That's right. We're living in a bureaucracy right now. That's correct. Because you aren't listening to Congress, and the president isn't listening to Congress, and he doesn't know what you're doing. And then when the judges stepped in and said, you can't do this, you said, fuck them judges. We don't care about those judges. They're just liberal activist judges. I don't know if he doesn't know. He has to know. I don't get why Republicans don't know. He's doing the thing he's complaining about. They're inventing this scenario where bureaucrats were running the country when they weren't to justify why bureaucrats need to be running the country. It's the same shit that Trump did when he's like, you don't want these there's all these billionaires and rich people who are donating to the government so that they can get their way. And I'm one of those rich people who donated to the government. So put me in office. And then we put him in office and he just did shit for rich people. He's like, I know how much they do for rich people. And then we put him in and he's like, hey, rich guys, here's some handouts. And Republicans are like, oh, yeah, this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted the whole time. They invent a scenario that doesn't exist. And so that they can do the thing that they just invented, and they can be like, oh, well, yeah, we have to do it because that's what they're doing. Nobody's doing this. This has never been done before. Nobody's ever done this shit before. Bureaucrats were not running the government. They're they are payroll. The USAID is payroll. They take congressionally approved funds for congressionally approved programs, and they give them the money that Congress approved. That's what they do. They're not making high-level decisions. They're not picking and choosing who gets that money. That they take funds that Congress approved. And so Congress is sitting back. Republicans in Congress are like, fuck, this is great. We don't have to take any credit for this. We can blame Democrats for all of this, even though we were in charge and we approved all these funds. Terrific. Yeah, Elon, do your thing. Do your thing, dog.
So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large, unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have.
What the fuck? Drew, are you here? Drew, I just need to know, just real quick, what the fuck? Drew, I just want to know, do you see what he's doing here? Do you recognize that he's talking about himself right here? I just want to know where we're at with Drew. Just a yes or no, Drew. Do you recognize that he is doing the thing he's railing against?
One that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at this, if you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has.
He just said that what he's doing is unconstitutional. And on Twitter, he's talking about telling the judges who are saying this is unconstitutional to shut the fuck up and get the fuck out of the way. He's saying what he's doing right now. Drew, I needed a yes or no. I needed a yes or no here. Don't do Asperger. He's got Asperger's. So so he doesn't realize that he's doing the opposite, or he's doing exactly what he's railing against. Yeah, there we go, Drew.
A lot of ways currently more power than any elected representative. This is not something that people want.
No, we don't want it.
And it does not match the will of the people.
Correct.
So it's just something we've got to fix. And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit. And if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget.
For the record, chat, can we chill? Drew wasn't speaking for autistic individuals. He's making a joke that people keep saying every crazy thing Elon does is because he has Asperger's. Can we chill in the chat a little bit?
Budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense. But if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
Okay, well, why don't you guys pay more in taxes? Why not? How about you and all your buddies? Well, why can't the answer be cut and increase taxes? That we can't cut. We cannot cut enough to get rid of our debt. We cannot tax enough to get rid of our debt. We have to do both. We have to cut and we have to tax. And Trump, because these are his buddies, is saying, oh, well, we'll cut and then I'll just do tariffs because tariffs are paid by another country. Because somebody told Donald Trump that other countries pay tariffs. And so now he's like, oh, this isn't a tax on the American people. We're just taxing other countries. And that's how we're gonna pay for these tax cuts for my billionaire friends. Tax your billionaire friends. Elon, you need to get taxed and we need to cut spending. And maybe the place we should start first is not poor people who are going to die when their funding gets cut. Maybe it shouldn't be entitlements. I love that Republicans talk about entitlement spending all the time. How many more years? We've done this for 50 years since trickle-down economics has started. How many more years do we have to hear that it's the poor people's fault while the rich people get richer and 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 richer to a point they could never spend their money? This little dude right here, Elon's son, his grandkids and his great-grandkids will never hurt for money ever. They're all set. They didn't do a goddamn thing.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about $30 million.
Right.
Okay, here's the claim. Trump's like, tell us about that woman who defrauded the government for $30 million, who took USAID and walked away with $30 million. Now listen to Elon's explanation, and you tell me, did this woman take money from USAID?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at US.
This dumb fucking bitch over here, this one with the blue tie, this dumb fucking bitch has taken his net worth from $2 billion to $60 billion since he's been in office. And he's like, yeah, how could this happen? And by the way, they didn't take any money from USAID. He's just saying that there are people who don't have a high salary who have a high net worth that work in a bureaucracy. There's lots of reasons for that. A lot of people work as bureaucrats not because they need the money, but because they enjoy the work. Some of those people have a spouse who makes a bunch of money. Some of those people have inherited a lot of money. Some people have made smart investments or their homes. For example, Elizabeth Warren, the criticism of her is, I saw this from Grant Cardone, that she's worth $20 million. She's worth $8 million. And $4.7 million of that is a home that she bought in 1995 for $400,000, and it's worth $4.7 million now. So more than half of her net worth is literally just the home that she lives in. She also wrote books. She also was a professor at Harvard. Pays pretty well. So yeah, it's actually the fact that Elizabeth Warren has been in Congress this long and only has a net worth of $8 million is proof that she's not very corrupt. All they're talking about here is they found people who work in the bureaucracy who have a high net worth. A handful. I don't know who this woman is, 30 million. They can't make any sort of connection on how she got that. But this works for Republicans because Republicans don't ask any questions. They go, bureaucracy, 30 million? How'd she do that? Because they go to work at whatever their job is. Let's say that they're an electrician. They go to work. They get paid. They come home. They pay their bills. They may invest whatever's left over. And to them, they're like, if I made $100,000 a year, I wouldn't be worth $30 million. That's correct. You probably wouldn't be. But do you know if that's why she's worth $30 million? Do you know if she's worth $30 million? These are net worth estimates, which are historically wrong. They're wrong all the time, and they can fluctuate wildly depending on your source. They're taking somebody's net worth, which is their assets, right? We're talking about assets that you can accrue in a lot of ways. In fact, let's say you worked in the government for the last 20 years, and 15 years ago, or let's see, what is it, 15 years? Does that give me enough time? Yeah, 15 years ago, you took $20,000, and you had a friend who's like, you should invest in Bitcoin. And you took $20,000, which is a reasonable amount for you to have saved for working in the federal government, and you invested in Bitcoin. I don't know what the calculator would be. I bet your net worth is going to be a lot more than $30 million, though, if you just made an investment like that. All of this stuff's totally possible. All of this stuff is totally possible, but they're using it as a way to tell the American people that we have to get rid of the bureaucracy. This isn't evidence of anything. Elon Musk has yet to uncover any real fraud. Zero in real fraud. Now, what they have uncovered that, some people maybe didn't spend money the smartest way, and that's fine, and that should be done away with. But fraud, actual fraud, he hasn't uncovered fraud yet.
USAID, we're just curious as to where it came from.
Which, by the way, tells me he's really goddamn bad at his job, because he should be able to find some fraud.
Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from?
And that explains why they're getting access to IRS data, because now they want to find. Now, this auditor thinks that he gets to investigate individuals. That's why they want access to all this financial information. And guess what? They haven't found anything. And I'm guessing that what they found is that people have come to these net worths by legitimate means. It is very hard to steal from the federal government. Very hard. If you want to make money off the federal government, you do what Elon did. You get in bed with the federal government. You make friends with people in the federal government. You kick them a little cash to make sure that they include you in their bills, and then you get government contracts. The easiest way to make money off the federal government is figure out a way to get a contract, specifically a defense contract. That's the best way, which, by the way, Elon has. Is anybody auditing Tesla, SpaceX, Twitter? Oh, they were. There were 17 open investigations into Elon Musk by the very groups that he's investigating now. He's shutting down any group that is currently investigating him. That's the transparency that the American people, that the people that he claims he's representing are asking for. They're saying if the federal government hands out money, if the federal government doles out government contracts, we would like some transparency, please. And this man is one of the biggest recipients of government contracts, and he's killing every group. He's just killing off every single group that can investigate him and finding no real fraud. The American people, we have to believe, we have to hope that the American people are smarter than this, because this is fucking stupid. The levels that you have to be, the levels of political blindness you have to have in order to not see what's happening, not see. You cannot see it. How can you not see it? Hell, how can you not see it? The levels of politically blind you have to be to not be able to identify what's happening right in front of you is astounding. And I have to believe, for my own sanity, that there's enough Americans that are going to see through this. And I think some are. American farmers are like, whoa, what the fuck? What's going on here? This sea of shit that Elon is throwing every single day, it's exhausting. And even the people on the right are exhausted by what he's saying, because you can only go so long claiming that everything is the Democrats' fault before somebody's going to go, hey, you going to do something about this? You going to fix any of this shit? Or are you just going to keep pointing the finger? Because Congress could fix this. Like, Congress could take this, everything Elon's doing, Republicans could take this and use it as leverage, and they could go in and they could say, listen, we're not passing a budget, which they never do anyways, but they could say, we're not passing a budget that has waste and fraud. And then what you do is you sit down together collectively and you say, how do we determine what waste and fraud is? Now, what the Republicans are going to say is anything that's woke is waste. Well, that's not okay. What you need to decide is, where's the money going? What was it intended for? And what were the results? And if the results match the intent, you keep it. And if the results don't match the intent, you get rid of it. That's what a real audit would be. This is not a real audit. This is a guy running interference for anybody trying to investigate him. And that's why his explanations for all this don't make any fucking sense. Because he's not doing what he says he's doing. He doesn't even recognize that the things he's claiming are the very things that he's doing. Well, maybe he does recognize it. Maybe you should give him a little more credit.
And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it.
That's how he accumulated most of his wealth, at the taxpayer's expense.
So, we're looking at, if you look at, say, Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that
Yeah, Elon, we're not using QuickBooks, you dumb bitch. That's why. Elon's explaining things like those are just general accounting. Like, you could use different terminology. You could have different transaction codes. You have what he's saying is just not true. Like, again, no evidence. You really think that the Treasury isn't coding any of this stuff? They're not coding any of their payments? You think that the Treasury has rules in place that say don't pay this person, and then it just gets paid anyways? Where's the evidence of that, Elon? He's not providing any evidence for any of this. In fact, Scott Bessent and other people at the Treasury have come out openly and said, no, that's not true. No, we code this stuff, and if there's a non-pay, it's deleted. It doesn't even go out. What he's talking about is like a do not pay. That's something that comes down. If you've ever worked in a corporation, that comes down from the top. That's saying like, hey, this vendor is not getting paid. Maybe for an example for me, like we would pay people out commissions, right? But if their commissions back charged, then they would owe us back that commission. And so there were times that a vendor payment would come out. And we would say, do not pay this vendor because they owe us back pay. So those payments don't go out. He doesn't think that exists in the Treasury. The Treasury says differently. But the problem that we have is Republicans are just believing him. And nobody's fact checking it. There's like, oh, it's Elon. Elon's rich, so Elon knows what he's talking about. I think Elon does know what he's talking about. I just think he's lying.
Departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks.
Yeah, but that would be, and again, that's true specifically in the Department, the Pentagon and the Department of Defense. And a lot of that is because they have been allowed to say like, oh, this we can cover up what's going out because we say it's top secret. And because it's top secret, we don't really have to give you that information. So that's true. It does happen.
You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations.
That's because it's congressionally appropriated and you can't unilaterally get rid of this. I mean, this is all such simple, basic shit that every reporter in this room should be absolutely ashamed of themselves that they didn't interrupt this nonsense. And every Republican should feel like a fucking moron for believing all this stuff. Like, of course it takes time. There's 350 million people in this country. And if somebody says don't pay this person, there are checks and balances to avoid a runaway bureaucracy. He's now saying like, hey, we've put all these rules in place to make sure the bureaucracy can't just unilaterally do things. And what we need to do to make sure that the bureaucracy can't unilaterally do things is give them the ability to unilaterally do things. Just circular, dumb shit arguing. Because Elon Musk is used to ruling as a king. His companies, the way that they operate is like he can do whatever he wants. If he needs something to stop today, it stops today. But that's not how our federal government, one, does work. Two is designed to work. Our federal government, our Constitution is written in a way so that you can't do this. That's the whole point of our Constitution. That's what made it so different than everybody else's, is we didn't give one person unilateral authority. We said no matter what you do in this government, it's going to be fucking hard to do it. It's going to be difficult to do things in this government. It's going to be difficult to do things in this government to avoid corruption. We need checks and balances everywhere. Things should not move quickly through the government. Things that he's talking about, like efficiencies. Efficiencies are great in private businesses. Hell, for me, like just removing myself out of a lot of processes and letting Jen do things makes us more efficient. But if Jen went rogue, that would be a problem, right? And that's why our government's set up that way. Our government is set up in a way to protect itself. It's not meant to be a fast-moving profit machine. It's meant to govern for the people. It's meant to take care of the people. And because of that, you need strong protections because we give somebody like President Trump a lot of power. We give Congress a lot of power. We give the courts a lot of power. And because we give them so much power, they have to be checked. So when he's sitting up here talking about like, oh, we're so inefficient. Yeah, that's by design. We're supposed to be inefficient in some ways. We're in your definition. We are not supposed to move quickly. If something's going to move quickly, it needs to be constitutional. There needs to be consent from Congress. There needs to be consent from the president, and the judges need to be like, yeah, we're on board with that. If everybody's on the same page, things can move quickly, but we're not all on the same page right now. And they're saying we're not all on the same page. It's not moving quickly, so we're just going to remove every obstacle that doesn't allow us to move quickly, which is the Constitution.
We're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not.
Drew, you still didn't answer my question. Drew, answer my question. Do you recognize what's happening right here? What he's doing, what he's saying right here is exactly what he's doing.
Match any congressional appropriation can take up to a year to get on the list, and even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously. But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraud.
Shut up. Shut up. That doesn't mean anything. That means nothing. That is absolute bullshit. The reason is because it's set up so that if people complain, they get money. Oh, really? Really? I complain a lot. I'm not getting shit. That's nothing. That is so stupid.
This complain the loudest and the fastest. So.
Well, then you must have been doing a lot of complaining there, Elon, because nobody's got funding like you. You must never stop complaining because you're getting funding right and fucking left. Stop saying this guy's intelligent. Stop it. Stop it right now. Stop it right now. He's a sociopath. He understands his own companies. He understands how to make a dollar. He doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about here because he's never read anything about this. He just thinks like he's one of these geneticists who believes IQ means that you just have all the answers. What he just said there is, well, we'll just.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I'm not worried about God having mercy on his soul. Do your thing, God. Let me read some comments, catch up. Just a reminder, we do have a gift goal every day. We're at 274. I'll update that when we're done. But if we can get going on that gift goal, that'd be great. Super Chats count, and then we got Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal below. Ashley says I need Jen. When you come back up, remind me to do Ashley's knock-knock joke. Brian says, Republicans make up a problem that doesn't exist, trans athletes, then a few months later claim to have fixed the problems they made up. Yeah, 100%. It's what they do. They just fix these. They realize that they're not capable of fixing real problems, so they create problems and fix them. And then Republican voters are like, "Oh, look at what they're getting done." Like it was never an issue. They made it up. Charles says, "Why do you think Obama and Biden have been so quiet about this obvious coup? Do they have any sway?" No, they don't. They have no sway. There's. What are they going to do? Democrats already believe it. If they come out and say something, they literally don't have sway. If I were them, I would talk, but I wouldn't expect anything gets done. I don't think it matters if they speak. Thank you, Jen, for joining the Dollar Train. Appreciate you. Did I read this one? Terry says, Jay, I saw some people were saying yesterday online that if they mess with their Social Security and Medicare, they would just die. What do you think is going to happen? I'm scared. They're coming after I'll cover that a little bit later, but they're coming after Medicare and Social Security. They're absolutely coming after Medicare and Social Security. They announced it today. Despite promising that they wouldn't, they're absolutely doing it. Thank you.
Understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything they approve all the payments at Treasury, because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints.
You have to approve the payments, you dumb bitch. Congress appropriated. You can't stop payments at the Treasury. It's how the Constitution works. Your job is to pay the bills, not make the decisions. Could you believe it, guys? Could you believe it? What would you think, Elon, if your payroll team just started deciding who gets money and who doesn't get money? How would that go for you, Elon? Like, well, payroll's really actually in charge here. You don't know. He doesn't know how anything works. That's why I don't believe that he's doing an audit, because if he was doing an audit, he would be auditing something and he would have some semblance of an idea of how basic government function works. He's not doing an audit. He's doing a coup. He's not telling you guys anything that is real. This is crazy talk. He doesn't know what he's saying. This is stupid. It's nonsense. Every reporter in there should be throwing their camera at this dumb guy. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how this works. Could we put somebody in charge of the audit that understands the basic functions of the departments that he's auditing? Please, for the love of God, could somebody explain to him that the money going out is appropriated by Congress? And if he has a problem, go talk to Congress. But he won't go before Congress because he's behind closed doors jerking off his little titty milk boys while they run a coup on the United States government. And Republicans that are here, what do you do when you find out the guy who's running the audit is this goddamn dumb? He has no idea what he's doing. He has no idea what he's talking about. None. Zero. Zip. That was stupid. There should be billboards in every U.S. city that says Elon Musk is just a dumb rich guy. Stop listening to him.
But now we're saying that, no, actually, we are going to complain. If
Not
money
a gene, he's a marketer of fabrication. Exactly.
is spent badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay.
True.
Your tax dollars need to be spent wisely on things that matter to the people.
Thanks.
I mean, these things, like, it's just common sense. It's not.
yeah, Jamie. Yeah, maybe we get a forensic accountant or something in here. Maybe we get an accountant to come in and do this shit. Not just like a fucking guy, just a guy. Well, he's rich.
It's not draconian or radical, I think. It's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it.
That would be mother damn. I'm trying to stop saying the F word so much. That's bureaucracy, dummy. We should just take a look at everything that Congress approves, and we should decide on our own as unelected bureaucrats if it's in the best interest of the American people. He's talking about a bureaucracy. He's up there campaigning against a bureaucracy and advocating for a bureaucracy at the same time. God, I suck at saying that word, but he's advocating for the thing he wants to undo. What are we watching, America? What are we doing? This is moronic. This is like 10th grade econ. This makes no sense. Everything he's saying, here's what we really should do is have an unelected bureaucracy. What's the problem? We have an unelected bureaucracy. Oh, okay.
So, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay.
Explain it then. Who is it? Who's the 150-year-old? Is it Social Security benefits that have been paid out to their spouse or their children? Anybody think to ask that? Because there's lots of examples of people who get payments after the person who got the benefits passed away. Happens all the time. And the benefits are linked to the person who's passed away, but the benefits are being paid out to somebody else. Happens all the time. He doesn't. I can't state this enough. He doesn't have any idea what he's looking at. None. And he's brought in a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of little racist teenagers as his help. They don't know what they're looking at either. None of them know what they're looking at. That's why they keep saying such stupid shit.
They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. That's a case where, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess.
I don't know how Social Security or payments go. I saw something that there's a lady that her grandfather, I want to say, I don't remember which war it was. I think World War I or World War II, passed away, and she's the last surviving member of the family. So she gets like $73 a month from the VA. Because that was the obligation. They had to pay out her family. She's the last remaining one. She still gets $73. He doesn't know. That's the saddest part of it. I don't even think he's lying. I think he doesn't know. I mean, sometimes he's lying, and he'll get to that in a minute. But in this case, I don't think he knows.
Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, why is there no identifying information?
Oh, then who do you go out to?
Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately.
Well, yeah. See, Why is there no identifying? Why is there no identifying information? I don't know. Isn't that what you're doing? Do you not know how to do an audit? Why isn't there? Why are you here asking questions? Why aren't you giving us answers right now? You're doing the audit. We don't need somebody to show up and ask questions. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't know the answer? What are you and the Titty Milk Boys doing then? Why are we giving you access to all this information if you don't have answers to any of these questions? You have everything you need. You can't figure it out?
Also, another crazy thing. So, one of the things is like we are trying to sort of.
It's nice seeing Trump put in his place and just sit there and shut up.
Right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this, obviously there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, well, okay, well, let's...
Why? He won't tell us.
If people can retire, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments and everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Is he saying that you fill out the paperwork and it's not official until it's in storage? Do you understand how dumb this is, guys? What is he saying? He's saying he's literally making the claim that the reason only 10,000 people can retire is because in order for them to retire, the paperwork has to be in a mine. Like, he's talking about storage. That's all he's talking about here. You name one other organization that doesn't allow you to retire until your paper is properly stored. This doesn't exist. This is absolute nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He doesn't know what he's hearing. He doesn't know what he's reading. He's just a guy who happens to be rich, and we can't get Republicans to just watch this and go, when you guys go on TikTok, they're going to be talking about this later today. You're going to hear Republicans repeating this like, yeah, did you guys hear about the mine? Yeah, I did hear about the mine. Can you explain to me how a mine holding documents is the limiting factor for people retiring? And look at Trump over here. He doesn't know either. You just got two dumb rich guys here trying to solve the world's problems by not doing a goddamn thing. Cookie Nibs says people can't conceptualize the amount of money people like Musk have. 1 million per second, or 1 million seconds equals 11.5 days. What's the SEC? A sec. Oh, 1 million seconds is 11.5 days. A billion seconds is 31.7 years. A trillion seconds is 31,000 years. Yeah. So if you're sending like a dollar a second, you would have to. It would take 31,709 years to make up Elon Musk's or $1 trillion where he's on his way. Valerie says, "I love Matt J. Thank you, appreciate that." Let me check over here. Cam, thank you very much. Cam says, Coup-o-meter says, yeah, this is a coup. The Constitution is in direct violation, but it has not been fully consolidated yet. The more you know. Yeah. By every historian's measure of is this a coup? It's a coup. This just is a coup. That's where we're at. Like, we're not joking. It's happening. It's here. We have a coup.
And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound crazy?
Yes!
There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think
Yes, it sounds crazy, and it sounds crazy because it's not true. That's why it sounds crazy.
if we can take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else. And you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way.
Okay, then how are people going to retire? If this is true, like, just follow his logic. His logic is so broken. His logic is people can't retire from the federal government because they have to go down a mine shaft and store their paperwork in a mine shaft. So all the people that work there should quit and go do something else. And therefore, nobody could retire? What are we getting at here? What are you saying here, Elon? What do you say? Like 1,000 people work in the mine shaft? Guys, I have to laugh. I have to laugh so I don't cry, but like this is embarrassing. MAGA should be absolutely embarrassed that you're being represented by these two morons.
So anyway, so I think that's an example.
I think we've done them a great disservice by saying that they lie, by the way. Somebody said, like, did they lie? I think we're doing a great disservice to the American people by saying that they lie. Nope, they're dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb.
Like at a high level, if you say, like, how do we increase prosperity, is we get people to shift from roles that are low to negative productivity to high productivity roles. And so you increase the total output of goods and services, which means that there's a higher...
Our government doesn't have goods and services because this isn't a fucking business. We got to focus on goods and services. We don't do goods and services. We have a private market. Now are you talking about socialism? Are you talking about government-owned entities? Is that what you're talking about now? Because certainly if the government owned these businesses, we can talk about output and productivity. And we could talk about where we put our time, but our government doesn't have that. So what are you talking about, Elon?
Higher standard of living available for everyone. That's the actual goal. Everyone's very quiet, by the way.
Yeah, everyone's quiet because that was nonsense. Nope. Everybody's like, what? What? He's so proud of himself. Everybody's very quiet. It's almost as if nothing I said made any sense. But it did make sense because I'm a high IQ individual and I have on this dumbass hat. By the way, his hat is signed by Trump. When you ever go to like a football game, you'll see like that guy who's been a fan for 50 years and he's got signatures all over like a worn hat. And you're like, that's a real fan. Elon's a real fan. He's got a worn out dark MAGA hat with Trump's signature on it.
If people normally is quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating.
He's such a media whore. Like, he's so proud of himself here. Everything's a joke to this loser.
A hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted, we have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House, we won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was
true.
On the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally.
Yeah, but they didn't vote for you.
People voted for major government reform.
Like, it doesn't matter how people vote. You can't vote to undo you can't vote for people to break the Constitution. So yeah, the people voted for you to do an audit, which you haven't done. Elon Musk hasn't done an audit. He's just tweeting shit and getting all the information he wants and eliminating any group that investigates him.
And that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for.
Priest, I don't know what Elon's talking about, but that's not how this works. There are retention schedules and statutes that are required for docs. That's right. Okay, thank you, Pri. I don't know what he's talking about either.
And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
Mr. Musk.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website.
Okay.
So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization.
I do almost every organization ever, because we actually don't know what you're doing. We just know what you're tweeting. Nobody actually has any oversight into what Elon Musk is doing. We haven't seen his server. We don't know what he's viewed. We don't know which departments he's been in. We literally only know what he tweets. That's not transparency. That's like me just saying, like, yeah, you can believe me because I tweet whatever I want. He's just tweeting what he wants. This is bullshit transparency. And that's what happens when you have 70+ million people who are dumb and who bought into this. Just like, yeah, trust me, bro. Thank you, Sully. Perfect timing. Just trust me. Trust me. I'm Elon Musk. I tweeted it. You can't lie on Twitter.
So, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not. What I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payment is explained, that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money.
Look, I want to see an example of somebody on the do not pay list. Let's go to Twitter and see. Like, I don't think he's given any example of somebody on a do not pay list that got paid. Do you guys know of any? Let's see. Yeah. I don't. I literally just see people retweeting Elon. Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. Every single article I can find here is literally just people quoting Elon. That's where we're at. Like, Elon is the source of truth for Republicans. Everything you guys believe is just something Elon said.
Is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company.
Yeah, I'd be thrown out of that press conference in a hurry, Valerie.
Fine, at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts when it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president, I know, has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, there's a...
No, they aren't. He's lying. Nothing that they do is public. Literally, nothing they do is public. When he says public, he's meaning whatever I tweet is what we're doing, and you just have to believe me. This is a coup. It's a coup. I don't know. I'm baffled. Like, I talk to my Republican friends, and I'm just like, guys, can we talk about this? They don't even want to talk about it. They're just like, nah, we're looking away. Like, this is a coup. It's just a coup. This is a coup. This is a coup. Holy shit, it's a fucking coup. What do we do? We got to take off our pants? How do we convince you this is a coup? They're doing a coup. They're admitting they're doing the coup. He's telling you they're doing the coup. And then you're like, can we figure out what you're doing? He's like, I'll tweet about it. And they're like, that's good enough for me.
Conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately.
Including you yourself.
Yes.
They do say
but
it. They do. He's corrected on Twitter all the time. It still doesn't tell us what he's doing.
Transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust.
When did Elon stop lying? It's a coup.
So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally
3,
obvious.
2, 1.
And if we
On the
thought
latest
that, we
edition
would
of the
not let
Bloomberg
him do
Business
that.
Week podcast.
That must be part of the video. That was weird.
A
segment
conversation
or
with Max
look in that
Chafkin
area.
of Business
If we thought
Suite
there was
on
a,
Elon Musk's offer to buy
lack of
OpenAI and
transparency or a
CEO Sam
conflict of
Altman's
interest.
reaction
And,
to that bid.
we watched that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want a...
He's transparent because he's a big businessman and he's a successful guy. Are we going to get transparency? Well, the thing is, he's a big businessman and he's a successful guy. It's what they say every time. Like, rich people think that because they're rich that they know things. I deal with I've been a member at a private golf club for a while, and like the richest people at that golf club, they don't know anything, but everybody listens to them because they're rich. And you'll hear them discuss politics. It's exactly like this. This is just what it's like hanging out with rich people. They're like, I have money, therefore I'm right. And I don't have to check any of this because I have money.
An unsuccessful guy doing this. Now, one thing also that Elon hasn't really mentioned are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous. And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse.
No, they didn't, though. That's the thing. Elon has not shown any fraud or abuse at all. All they have shown is that there is money that was congressionally appropriated that went to groups that they don't like. That's it. That's all they've shown you. That's how it works. Spoiler alert. If you are if you think you're going to go through everything the government spends and you're not going to find things you don't like, you're out of your goddamn mind. That's what they found. No fraud. No fraud yet. Just shit we don't like.
Abuse. I would say those two words as opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse. It's abusive because most of these things are virtual.
It's ironic because what they found is waste. He's like, I'm not going to say fraud, abuse, and waste. I'm not going to say the waste part, but that's all they found. They didn't find fraud or abuse. They found what they deem as waste, and then they're categorizing it as fraud and abuse. You see how this works with Republicans? Because it's so easy. They're just like, look over here. Look over. Oh, I'll look over here. Yeah, it's fraud and abuse. No, it's waste. When they talk about how much it costs for the K cups, that's waste. It's not fraud. It's not abuse. It's waste. It's money that they didn't need to spend.
Made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy.
No.
So
I don't.
But we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found. And now a judge who's an activist judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why?
Correct.
Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned
Because it's the Constitution, you dumb bitch.
on the fact that I said government is corrupt. And it is very corrupt.
I got to tell you, I do think I'm going to get sued by this. If things go badly and we go right into fascism, I am toast. The amount of times I've called him a dumb bitch, he's not going to like that. We know what he did to Chrissy. He went after Chrissy Teigen. He'll come after me. So one more time, he's a dumb bitch.
Very, very, it's also foolish. As an example, a man has a contract for 3 months and the contract ends, but they keep paying him for the next 20 years, because nobody ends a contract. You got a lot of that. You have a contract that's
I hate how much I have to stop this, but that if they kept paying him for 20 years, it's because Congress kept appropriating the funds for 20 years. That means Congress didn't do their job. Okay, and I'm fine with that. If you find that type of stuff, Congress needs to be made aware of that, and they need to be held accountable for not doing their job. Great. If this is the type of stuff we're good with. Like, if you audit this stuff, great. Now you got to go to Congress. But what they're doing is they're auditing it, and then they're like, we're just going to do it on our own. That's unconstitutional.
Contract. Now, normally, if you're in a small, in all fairness, it's the size of this thing is so big.
Yeah.
But if you have a contract
1% of our
and you're
budget.
in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months. It's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years. And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years. They don't say it. They just keep getting checks month after month, and you have
He just said the same thing again. No follow-up question. He just what's that joke of? I think it was. I heard it from Larry King. I don't remember who he said it to him. It was somebody who had like dementia, and he's like, Larry, the only thing I have problem with is short-term memory. You know what, Larry? The only thing I have a problem with is short-term memory. That's like Trump. He just said that. He just did it again. We're just Just on replay there.
Various things like that, and even much worse than that, actually, much worse. And I guess you call that incompetence, maybe.
Sort of just going for the president's comments.
He has to riff off what the president said because he's the president. Yeah, what Donald said there wasn't sufficient, so let me add to it.
High level, you say, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1 trillion? And it's really two things.
Yeah.
Competence and caring. And if you add
No! It's cutting spending. It's just cutting spending. It's not competence. It's not caring. If you want to cut something from 2 trillion to 1 trillion, I did the math. It took a while. You just cut a trillion. It's cutting. That's what you do. You cut it. What are you talking about? Everything here is so like they think that they're so profound. It's competence and it's caring. It's neither. It's cutting. You should have done 3 C's and got rid of 2 of them, and it should have just been 1 C. It should have been cutting.
add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half.
No, you won't.
And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So
he's saying people are going to be up his ass. That was his joke. I'm going to get a daily proctology exam. No, you're not. We're just going to keep making fun of you. It's competency and it's caring.
It's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. But with the support of the president.
Scrutiny, but you are getting away with it. Like, this is the thing. Like, they all fall back on this. Trump does it too. They're like, the press is always unfair. Yeah, but you get away with it, so it doesn't matter. The press reports on all the shit you do, and you get away with it because you're a rich white dude in America. That's the problem. And then you're like, it's not very fair that they scrutinize me when I get away with everything. I should get away with everything, and I should have no scrutiny.
We can cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1.
Make that lawsuit worth it.
And then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to
Now we're going to have about a minute straight of Elon's kid picking his nose. I'm not going to listen to him. I'm just going to watch the kid here.
free the builders of America to build. And if we do that, that means I think we can get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion, between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26. And if the government
I don't know where the booger is going to go. I'm desperate to find out. Is he going to eat it? Let's take bets. Eat it, wipe it on the desk. Look, Trump's staring right at him right now. You better not wipe that fucking booger off my desk. Is that Booger Bobby? I don't know. I haven't seen him for a while. It could be.
Borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario for the average American. I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same.
He just said, I want you to shush. Is that what he just said? Little kid's got an evil glare, man.
That's a fantastic scenario for the average American. I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage.
Who's he talking shit to? Who's he talking to? Do you think?
All their debt payments dropped. How great is that for the average American?
We had no idea. We had no idea we were going to find this much, and it's open. It's not like complicated. It's
not
simple
that complicated.
Stuff. It's
like
a
lot of work. Yeah.
We can't believe it. A lot of work. A lot of smart people involved. Very, very smart people. But you're talking about anywhere maybe $500 billion. It's crazy the kind of numbers you're talking about. You know, normally when you're looking at
the whole budget is $40 billion of USAID. So I don't know where did he just come up with five? We're saving $500 billion. Somebody who's got a calculator? Somebody take 40 billion minus 500 billion. Can somebody do that? All right, I'm done with Trump and Elon. I can't take any more of them. They're just two dumb rich guys together in a room, being dumb and rich, and everybody's afraid to be like, "Hey, you guys are dumb." That was one of the dumbest press conferences I've ever seen in my entire life. All of that was nonsensical.